and we're just thrilled. I mean, this.
Did you think you could be up running first and third in your realistic dreams?
No.
All right, that says
the guys have worked hard. Nerda Mauricio's done a fantastic job, and we're thrilled to have him as part of the team. And Danny, we're great to see Danny back in the series. He's done a wonderful job for us.
Keep it going. Let's go back to Jack.
Well, Gary, 1 year ago in Surfers Paradise, Michael Andretti came back to IndyCar racing and was victorious, and it looked as if you were going to repeat the opening race here today. What happened out there to break the right front that way?
I think it was the first restart, and I was behind Christian Fittipaldi, and I went to pass him in turn one, and I thought he saw me, and he didn't, and we hit, and I hit the wall, and I guess it bent it because I ran the rest of the time. It was okay, and then it just finally broke.
When you're running out there and you've had a situation like that, do you think about it, or do you put it out of your mind until it totally broke?
I thought about it for about 10 laps, thinking, I hope nothing's wrong. And then after the 10 laps, I sort of figured, well, it must be okay, but obviously it wasn't. It's really disappointing.
But back to the Gold Coast, back to the place where you were victorious last year. You getting excited to go across the pond?
Well, I feel really good about this year. The car was flawless. I mean, we were running a second a lap quicker than anybody, and hopefully that's a sign of things to come this year.
Paul?
Of course, Jack, you're referring to the race in Australia at Surfers Paradise in 2 weeks. And we will have coverage of that race, too, right here on ABC Sports. All of the yachts in the center of the track. A couple of $1 million floating there. And there are the cruise ships. Some of these yachts would make those cruise ship captains envious of what they have on board. Great, beautiful day here in Miami. You know, Ralph Sanchez, who puts this race together, has also been working on an entire new race course over at Homestead, not all that far from here. That track has been under construction for over a year now, and there's the very good real possibility that that will be open as early as July. And then it will start hosting races. Now the Indy cars, Bobby, will they go to Homestead? There's what it looks like under construction.
Yes, and it's a state-of-the-art track. Ralph told me this morning he's going to spend approximately $70 million on this racetrack, which is unheard of. But most importantly, no matter what happens there, whether it gets delayed or whatever, he's got 2 years right here under contract with the city of Miami. So no matter what, we're going to have super good IndyCar racing here in Miami for a long time.
Homestead is a really great layout. It's patterned after Indy with the 4 distinct turns, but it's only 1.5 miles long. So it's kind of a combination of a mile track and Indy. Should be a great racing track.
Well, now under this full course yellow to show you how the pit crews can make a difference. When they came back out after that stop, Jacques Villeneuve's crew gained him 2 positions in the pits, and he comes out as the leader of the race. Gugelman second, Rahal third, Scott Pruitt fourth, and Danny Sullivan fifth. Good job by that team.
The old adage, first in, first out. And if you look at that right away, Villeneuve, he's with a tried and proven team, guys that really know what they're doing. Whereas Gugelman, Pac West, not knocking the team. They're certainly running good today, but they don't have as much experience.
You know, as we say all the different drivers' names, realize that there are drivers here in this race from 11 different countries, 5 from Brazil.
Scott Pruitt also had a good stop. He went in 7th place and came out in 4th. 56 laps complete. We're under yellow. Back live in Miami in the shadow of the cruise ships as they prepare their Sunday sail. We're preparing to have a terrific battle. These cars, led by the 27 car of Jacques Villeneuve, the rest of that group have all been very, very close together. There's young Jack down with his father Gilles, the late and great Gilles Villeneuve, and his sister. Some family snapshots of him very young. I wonder what Dad would think of him today. He would certainly be very proud. And Jack, by the way, seems to be very much aware of the great heritage that he follows. In 2nd place is Gugelmin, then Bobby Rahal, then Scott Pruitt, then Danny Sullivan.
Gilles Villeneuve, Jacques' dad, was known for what's called his car handling ability. He could throw a car around even in the narrow confines of a street circuit like this and still manage to keep from hitting anything. Jacques definitely has that car handling ability. Plus, he's only 23. He has tremendous maturity, and with Barry Green as his crew chief, a terrific brain in the pits to guide the whole effort. And you need a package like that to be good.
What you saw him doing right there was trying to scrub the rubber off of his tires. I hate to interrupt with you, Paul. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, Bobby, I was watching him in the paddock the other day, and he was very warm with the crowd. Of course, the paddock wide open, you know, you can get a ticket in there. Full of race fans. They were having a great time, and he spent a lot of time at the fence with them. Now, let's take a look at this, because it's going to compress up and then go green. Remember, these cars at the front of the field have been very closely matched throughout the going.
Boy, he timed that perfectly. He stole about 3 car lengths on Gugelmin. Good start for Jacques Villeneuve.
Showed a lot of experience there, Sam, because what he did is he slowed everybody down, got his foot on the brake, got the turbocharger lit, and let that thing go, and look how much he jumped him right away.
On board, third place, Bobby Rahal. Gugelmin just ahead.
Rahal has been working his way stealthily through the pack. Remind you, he's third now.
59 laps are complete.
This is a typical Rahal race. Drive carefully in the opening going. If you don't have the fastest car, keep everything together, pick people off.
Dennis Vitolo again. Looks like engine this time. That should not bring out a full course. That'll just bring out locals, yellows, I would guess. Unless, of course, the car ends up in a precarious position on the racetrack and they have to tow it in.
Remember when Dennis wound up on top of Nigel Mansell in pit lane at Indy last year?
I don't think any of us like to see that. That had us all wondering there.
I don't think he's in the right spot on the track, do you, Bobby?
No.
Battle for second now behind the leader. Rahal closing on Gugelmin. Jack is pulling away.
And let's keep in mind, too, now you see Villeneuve in front of Gugelmin a little while ago before the yellow. For the pit stops, Gugelmin was ahead of Villeneuve. Now, when you're running in second place, you're running in what we call dirty air. It messes up the car behind just a little bit going through turns like right now. Of course, that's slow speed through the chicane. But as you get to the faster turns, the front wings don't get enough downforce on the car that's behind. That hurts them a lot and makes passing a lot harder.
About 4 seconds cover the first 12 cars.
Rahal and his team have done more testing this year than any other year. They did 4,000 miles compared to a high of 3,000 any other year before. It's obviously paying off right at this moment. They seem to have a very well-balanced car right now.
Bobby Rahal is tired of doing development work. He wants to race this year, and he and Carl Hogan have told everybody, this year we're going to race. Development time is finished.
Well, they tried their own special chassis, then they tried the engine program with Honda. Neither of those things paid off for them. They were ambitious ideas and could have put them way out front. Now they've gone back to what you might call off-the-shelf stuff, and they're doing beautifully.
Bobby Rahal, of course, with Mercedes-Benz power. But Bobby Unser, that is not the same Mercedes-Benz power that won the Indianapolis 500 last year.
No, and I'm glad you brought that up, and it's time to explain it. This is really a copy of, or not a copy, but a similar thing to the Ford Cosworth engine, or what was the Elmore engine, or what was the Chevrolet engine before. Built by Elmore Engineering in England, it's just an updated version and Mercedes-Benz redevelopment or development of an engine. So it's still a very small 4-cam turbocharged small engine with just standard boosts as all the Cosworth engines have and everything else.
161 cubic inch engine. I asked Paul Morgan, one of the builders. The manufacturer is Ilmore, and Paul Morgan is the more of that. And I said, what can you do to an engine? What were you concerned with an engine that's formula has existed for so long? He said he's trying to get it to turn a little faster, and they worked very hard on helping it economize fuel this year.
I think the distinction that should be made, though, is it's not the kind of engine you might find in a Mercedes car, a street machine. It's built purely for racing.
But what they did, Sam, to make it better than last year or make it different was they made it breathe better. Air is what makes engines run. If you put air and then put some fuel with it, they make more horsepower. And they definitely have more horsepower this year than they've had in the past, but it isn't the same engine. It's a development from that engine.
Danny Sullivan working on 4th place, Scott Pruitt.
Look at how exciting this is. They are not stretching out. They're compacting. It's very good racing.
First 5 cars all right together on the race course.
One just more little thing on the Mercedes thing. When we do go to Indianapolis, of which we'll be covering at ABC this year, they won't see the same Mercedes engine they saw last year. They'll see Mercedes engines there, but it won't be the rocker arm or what we call the stock block engine.
That formula is effectively outlawed.
It's outlawed. It won't happen anymore. We don't even see those engines around anymore, but I know all the fans ask me constantly about the Mercedes engine. They mean the one that little Al won with last year.
62 laps now complete.
You See Bosell and the Duracell car leading. Christian Fittipaldi, both these men have had their troubles throughout this race. They're battling now, as you see, for 7th place. I think we're going to see a lot of both these men at the front throughout the year. They have good cars and they're extremely good drivers. Remember, Bosell is now the teammate to Bobby Rahal. Rahal running 3rd.
By the way, Michael Andretti came back to tell us that he thinks he identified Christian Fittipaldi, that car that you see right there, as his problem, the number 15 car that came across him and made him brush the wall. And now he wants to correct that because he believes that in fact it was Eliseo Salazar. Fittipaldi, it's a little offline. Gives the room to Vassar, and Vassar goes inside.
He got into the speed bumps, had to slow down, and of course he lost a lot because of that. You can't get the car up on these curbs or into the speed bumps very fast because you have problems with it.
That's a classic example of what one small little mistake means. A whole car length lost and a place lost.
And on this track, even getting on the curbs, as we watch the on-camera shots, we see the curbings all the way around there on the left, all around. They don't run much on them here. They're very slippery. Also, you see they're all painted. Paint doesn't make it get adhesion, it makes it more slippery.
Riding, of course, with Brian Herter, his teammate Vassar, 2 cars ahead. So the Chip Ganassi team well represented in this shot.
64 laps complete, 26 to go. They're averaging a little over a minute a lap, so it looks like without any new caution periods here, this course will run to its 90-lap conclusion. But it's going to be pretty close.
There's Vassar in the red car with the STP decal on the side of it. That's Vassar, then Fittipaldi, and then Herta. There's Herta just coming in the top of the screen.
Jimmy Vassar's an awfully good race driver. With Jim Hayhoe last year, underfinanced. Jim's a good, long-time good friend of mine. Got me into flying a lot of ways. Talked to him this morning, Sam, and Jim just said he didn't have enough money to keep the gap up. He had a good driver in Vassar, so he had to join with Chip Ganassi on the Target team right there and become a member of that. Besides that, he says he's saving an awful lot of money himself personally.
Well, Vassar had a 3rd place finish last year. He has been very, very good. Of course, right now he's running 8th.
Very proud promoter here, Ralph Sanchez, says the crowd here is 90,000 today. Completely sold out, turning people away. The Super Bowl held here, 72,000 at Joe Robbie Stadium. Let's go to Gary Gerald.
Couple of updates, Paul, concerning the defending champion Al Unser Jr. He's having to come to the pits about every 6 laps. One of the batteries that controls an alternator control box and other electronics keeps draining and the car begins to misfire. So they change a battery about every 6 laps. They're doing diagnostic work, but clearly he's just out there trying to learn more and more about a brand new race car. As for Jacques Villeneuve, we talked briefly with Barry Green, asked him if there were any concerns whatsoever. He says, our concern is we've still just got too far to go. And looking at the history of this weekend with all the incidents, we're just hoping that he can stay and keep his nose clean. Other than that, car is working.